A black woman was ignored in the emergency room for over an hour, despite clearly being in pain. What happened next shocked everyone at the hospital. Before we get into the story, tell us in the comments which city or country you're watching from. We want to see how far this story travels. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe for more stories. Why does help only arrive when power walks through the door? Stay with us to find out. Angela stumbled into the emergency room, clutching her chest, struggling to breathe. Her face was pale, sweat dripping down her forehead, but no one seemed to notice. Nurses hurried past her without a glance, and the receptionist barely acknowledged her presence. The busy room buzzed with activity, yet Angela's pain was met with cold indifference. No questions, no offers of help, just silence. What was unfolding here wasn't just a medical emergency. It was something deeper, something that no one expected to reveal. Minutes turned into what felt like hours as Angela sat alone, growing weaker by the second. Other patients, some who had arrived well after her, were called back quickly. A white woman nearby was immediately taken behind a curtain, while Angela was left waiting, her desperation mounting. She tried to catch the attention of the staff, her voice growing shaky and urgent, but they looked away. The nurses whispered among themselves, and a security guard laughed quietly on his phone. It was clear her pain was not enough to earn their care, and the silence weighed heavier with every passing moment. Angela wasn't just any patient. She was a respected nurse and a loving mother, known in her community for strength and kindness. Always the one to care for others, she rarely asked for help herself. But today, in her moment of vulnerability, she was left alone and ignored. The confident woman who helped save lives now needed someone to save hers, and no one seemed willing to step up. Angela's condition worsened rapidly. Her chest tightened painfully, and she began to sweat coldly, struggling to stay conscious. She called out louder, begging for help, but the staff remained unmoved. Nurses glanced her way briefly before turning away, and doctors were nowhere to be seen. The urgency in her voice grew desperate as her vision blurred and dizziness took hold. Something serious was happening. Her body was in crisis, but the hospital's silence continued. The growing tension in the room made it clear that this was more than just a routine wait. What the hospital didn't know was that Angela's husband, Marcus, was no ordinary man. A billionaire investor with powerful political connections, Marcus had influence that reached far beyond the city. Angela had kept her visit a secret, not wanting to worry him. But as her pain became unbearable, she sent a short, desperate message. "Help! No one is listening." Within minutes, Marcus dropped everything, racing to the hospital to make sure his wife finally got the care she desperately needed. Marcus entered the hospital with a presence that immediately changed the atmosphere. Cameras followed his every step, capturing the moment he arrived. Staff who had ignored Angela just moments before now scrambled to their feet, offering help and explanations. The cold indifference vanished, replaced by sudden urgency. Marcus's name echoed through the halls, causing heads to turn and whispers to spread. The same people who had ignored her pain were now eager to assist, revealing the stark difference that power made in the emergency room. Calm but firm. Marcus demanded to know why his wife had been left to suffer for over an hour. The head nurse stammered, struggling to explain the neglect. Doctors appeared, their faces tight with discomfort. It became clear that Angela's treatment, or lack of it, was tied to racial bias and social status. Marcus didn't yell or threaten. Instead, he held the room with quiet authority, making sure everyone understood the gravity of the injustice. His presence forced the hospital to face a painful truth they had tried to ignore. Angela's tear wasn't just from physical pain. it was a tear of deep betrayal. She had been invisible in the place meant to save her life. The stark contrast between her suffering and the hospital's cold indifference weighed heavily on her heart and mind. Marcus refused to stay silent. He exposed the hospital's neglect, drawing media attention and sparking national outrage. The hospital issued a public apology and promised reforms. But the damage had been done, and many questioned if real change would follow. This was not just one hospital's failure. It revealed a systemic problem where race and status influence care. Angela's question echoed loudly. What happens to those without someone powerful by their side? Her story became a symbol of inequality in healthcare. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments and share your thoughts. Together, we must demand justice and equal care for everyone, because no one should ever be ignored when they need help most.